Do you want to start a business, get out of the office, achieve happiness and success while crushing life? This is Boss to Boss, the place to be for that extra motivation to get up and follow your dreams while learning from the ones who have already done it. And now for your host, Miro and
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Boss to Boss, your one-stop shop for all of it. I know you love that intro, Steve. We're back over here, Steve Wiley, me, myself, Miro Wieslow, and we got you episode rants and recaps number 40. Can you believe it, Steve?
It's amazing. 40 episodes. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Hitting all the O's, all the zeros. Oh yeah, no, I really can't. But it's awesome. It's here we are, and today we're gonna bring you something a little different. We're gonna continue our segments of going through our day-to-day struggles and letting you know what we have been learning and what you can hopefully learn from us. And one of the things we deal with on a constant basis, it's just inevitable with running a business. Though, like for me personally, I thought it was I thought like, oh man, running a business is gonna be so easy. No stress at all, stress-free life. You know, just start up a company, buy my whatever Porsche, and sit back, hire a bunch of people. Nope. We got stress, and different types of stress. Just being maxed out, overworking, working too much. And today we're gonna bring you an episode while running a business, and while if you're debating about running one or not, there are different types of stresses that you run into. Coming from my industry and Steve's industry, which Steve is more in web development, marketing, all types of creatives industry, and I'm more in like the moving, removing, so it's kind of contractor based type work with donations and whatnot. So it's two different industries, two different types of stresses, all types. We're going to cover it all here, and we're going to tell you how we deal with it and our tips and tricks and what you can do to help avoid some of the pitfalls that we've come across. So without further ado, Steve, what is your number one stressor? Do you even have any stressors? Do you?
No. Life is just stress-free as a business owner. It's nothing. It's so easy. Everything just comes naturally. Everything. LaCroix. Where's the avocado toast?
The avocado toast is getting made.
Is Oreo making it? It's behind you.
Oreo? No, Oreo is
there.
Not,
she is.
There's Oreo.
Oh,
she woke up.
Okay.
Not good. But
we've awoken the beast.
Yes. No, my girlfriend's in the back making avocado toast, but she's dragging. Joanna, where's the avocado toast?
All right. Well, yeah. So to answer your question, I don't know. So like as far as stresses go, we were talking a lot about starting a business, and that's a big stress. But when you actually have been running a business for a certain period of time, you get maybe you fall into those things where, okay, now you're getting in the groove and things are working out and you're getting customers. What happens when you get overworked? What happens when you kind of like get everything coming all at once and you're not quite sure how to handle it? I know you just celebrated your 1-year anniversary with Hodgepodge. That's a huge thing. One thing that I said is it's usually the first year and the third year. Those are the hardest things. The first year, you're getting your footing, just figuring out, what the hell? I'm doing this now. This is real. And then the second year is growth. And what happens with a lot of people in the third year is overgrowth. You do overgrowth and you don't know how to scale things back because of the fact that you take on too many things that you can handle all at once. And you get that burden where you don't know exactly how to handle that stress and how to manage that work. And what happens with a lot of people is they get overwhelmed, and then they start kind of doing bad work, and that's when they go out of business.
So let's backtrack really quick. What year of business are you in right now with intrinsic marketing?
I am in year 4.
Okay. And to put it into perspective, I just started year 2. Go on.
There you go. So right. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, like with businesses that you start yourself, like what you're doing, you started kind of, well, not kind of, but basically 100% from scratch. You came up with an idea, something that, you believed in, and you maybe got a business partner, got some money in there to get the overhead taken care of, so you can, take care of your business. But with a business like mine, it's more about ideas and development. You know what I mean? So like, as far as that goes, it's kind of like figuring out what services you can offer, because most of it's digital. I don't have a huge amount of overhead. It's about skills, like different things that I can put into the pie to help another business owner. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for me, I had a background in like advertising and marketing for multiple jobs that I did, and that kind of gave me a little bit of understanding of what I would need to do to kind of handle the customers that I'm handling now. Mm-hmm. The thing that happened was, the first year was obviously, like I said before, probably the hardest, because of the fact that it was coming up with the idea out of nothing. I mean, when I started this business, it was from $0. Zero. It was from, it was just the skills that I had, figuring out what I could do, figuring out, what I could put together to build something that people would be willing to pay me for, and then putting together a team to get it done at a higher level, So, that's a different dynamic on what you're doing. But at the same time, like, it's like, everybody kind of goes into that spot where, okay, now it's working. We have this, and you have like, okay, let's take on more clients. Let's take on more clients. And there becomes, there's like kind of a tipping point where it's like, I take on everybody that I can take on, but then if I take on anybody more, then I'm not going to be able to do any of these jobs to 100%, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. What I wanted to talk about today was when you get to that point when you're starting out to where you're not sure if you can handle a certain thing. Because I turned down a lot of clients. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure you probably turned down jobs as well. Things maybe people call you and they have something that just doesn't work. It's not in the cards. Not good for you. Have you run into something like that?
Yeah, I made the mistake early on of just taking everything, and I quickly learned when I got sat down on my ass that sometimes you can't. You got to learn, and you got to gradually build up your way. And you know what though? At the same time, maybe it helped me learn things quicker too by trying to do that. But nowadays, I am actually, we value the business. There's a certain value we put on it, and if someone just doesn't value it and doesn't want to pay for it, unfortunately, we can't do it. And we had to have turned down jobs, especially because if we didn't have enough people or people were overworked and we just couldn't handle it. There's no reason to stress out over it. The business will be there. It's gonna come, especially if you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, a lot of times, and it's totally healthy, and it's the right thing to do, to take as many customers as you can when you're first starting out, because it is a learning experience. And the only way that you're going to learn what direction you're supposed to go, and what you can do best, is by doing those tricky customers and finding all the things that really suck and the things that you don't want to do. And that happens, and it's a stressful thing in the moment, but after you get over it, it's so much more of a lesson.
Yeah. I can't deny that part one bit. Yeah, it's definitely a lesson learner. Sometimes it's a costly lesson learner, though. You have to do it sometimes. No matter what, you can read, listen as much as you want. Some things you just have to do. You just have to go
through it. Yeah, you can read about it all day, but it's just like going to school. You can talk about theory and all this, and the way it should go, but when you get down and dirty and you're dealing with clients, people, personalities, things that are real world things and scenarios, it's totally different.
Yes.
It's not textbook shit. It's things
It's not.
that come. Yeah, it's things that come, things that maybe it's just a conflict in personality. Maybe it is a good job. Maybe it's something that you could do, but
Hmm.
the client themselves is a toxic type of person. You
And
know,
and that's tough because you want to service everyone and you want to make everyone happy. Though there are moments when it really is just a toxic communication back and forth, and at that
right?
point, I think those are the jobs that sometimes you got to take your losses, cut your losses, and you still have to please the client at the end of the day because that's gonna go a further way than having that client pissed off and mad at you because that could really ruin your reputation and your business real quick.
Sure.
So sometimes you just gotta cut your losses and make them happy and kind of just do it and get out and learn from it. And at that point, you kind of learn to identify, which jobs maybe just aren't right for you, because
Yeah.
right away you see that this somebody has flashbacks from something else, and you're like, we're staying away. It's just not worth it for us, for what could possibly go wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, you hit it on the head as far as taking on clients and wanting to please everybody.
Yep.
It's very important to build a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
In your first year, in your second year, in your third year, and probably until your fifth year, whatever.
For sure.
I mean, I'm still doing the same thing. You need to build a reputation,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you have to weigh it out. Is it more valuable to just do work that isn't profitable to get a good review?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's times where you can do the greatest work you've ever done, and you still get a bad review because the people are just terrible. You know, there's clients that I've had that are really, really high paying clients, and they had expectations, and you learn to manage those expectations. But at the end of the day, some people are just crazy. Some people just have expectations that are just not unrealistic expectations, and there's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point you have to learn how to fire your clients. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
At some point you need to tell your clients no. You need to tell them, I can either do this because this is what I recommend. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, then maybe you should go to another company. And that's a hard thing to do when you're starting out, because the thing is that you constantly just want more money, because you want to be
Mm-hmm.
working more. You want to bring in that revenue. But toxic revenue, toxic clients, they
Mm-hmm.
bog you down, they waste your time, and they make things miserable for you. And then what happens is, and it's very hard to insulate against this. When you deal with toxic clients like that, it disenchants you, and it makes you bring that negativity into your other clients.
Yes.
And that's the worst thing that you could ever do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, with all the guests that we've had, talking about positivity and mentality and things like that. I mean, that is first and foremost. If you don't have that positivity and that mentality to keep moving forward, and keep that thing in your head that is driving you to move forward.
Yep.
That
Bigger picture thinking.
bigger picture. You're not
That's it.
talking about the little client. Not to say that not all
Yeah.
the clients are.
Every client matters. Every client matters at the end of the
Right.
day.
Absolutely.
There has to be a fit, and you are running a business at the end of the day. You can't please everybody, because if you try to please everybody, like I tried, especially in the beginning, you will go crazy and you will just lose it. You will lose it. And Steve,
Yeah.
I know you are treating this as a therapy session because you are just venting all your problems and issues. But now tell us, what are you doing about this? So clearly you've grown. You've got a lot of issues at hand. You got some stress going on, and you need some venting. Besides this form of ventilation, what are you doing about this stress? And what
Well,
has helped you? I guess what has worked, what hasn't.
Well, what helped me first and foremost is the ability to take a step back and decide what I want to do and what I want to let go. In this business and what I do, when I take on a client, it's a long-term commitment. When I talk to a customer and I, have that initial conversation about what their business is about, what they are trying to accomplish long-term, all those different things. I need to know that these are values that I share. These are things that are that I'm able to, work with, and things that I believe in. Because there's plenty of businesses around, and if I were to take on every single person that need a website or marketing for their business, I'd be running around in circles, and running in all different directions, and that's not good. What I try to do is I try to put myself in their shoes. If I can see myself in their shoes, and I can see that it's something that makes sense to me, because I'm at the top, and I have to explain this to my people, whether they're building a website or they're writing copy or they're doing social media or whatever it is, print or whatever. I need to be able to explain it as if I were the owner, and if I can't do that, then I just can't work with you, no matter how much money you have. And that's the thing, that changed. One of the biggest problems that I had in the beginning was just telling everybody, yeah, sure, I can do it. I can do it, And what happens with that is you get overworked on things that are, they don't fit together. You can't, your team is running in different directions and things like that. And nobody's really passionate about anything. So you're not really doing anything.
What have you done specifically, besides just telling people no? Is there anything else you've done?
Okay. So besides saying no, obviously that's like a hard, that's either yes or no, I'm going to take on the client. But beyond that, when you actually have taken on the client, there's another thing. And, the next step in that process is trying to please the clients that you have already. You can be a yes person and say yes, 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 yes to every ask that they have. But what that always leads to is over expectations. Expectations are super high and unreasonable things. Because the worst thing that you could do is overpromise and underachieve.
I agree.
So,
I agree. So
yeah.
that's actually a valid point you bring up. Recently, I used to overpromise like crazy in the beginning. I was like, yeah, just to get the jobs. And then, let's just say somebody's promises were drastic and crazy. And I knew there was like no way we were going to accomplish them. And, it didn't end too well. Luckily, we salvaged the jobs. We got through it. So nowadays, I'm so much more conservative, and customers, I think, appreciate it so much more. And I tell them straight up, like right away, I'm going to be conservative with you and frank. And I'd rather tell you, it might come in a little bit more. It might cost a little bit more. Something might possibly go wrong. Something might happen. There is a risk here. And I'd rather let them know now straight up in advance. And I think they appreciate that communication. And if something does happen, like recently, let's just say, it's been so much easier to deal with because they know that there's that possibility, as slim as it is. And then when we do go ahead and do much better, it's they still love it as if you were gonna do it the conservative way, which is the worst way possible. So it's like a win-win. It's a win-win, just being honest and communicating.
Yeah, with anybody that's going to do anything with you in business, that communication, that honesty goes a hell of a lot more than the sure we can do that and then send you a bill. That doesn't work. You need to have that clear path of communication. You need to give honest expectations. If you're dealing with somebody and you tell them, hey, yes, you have this, and this that needs to be done. We could get it done at this point, but there's a possibility that it could be this and this, and these are the reasons why. And if you lay that out in the beginning, there's no reason that they would be upset, because it's a clear plan. It's part of the process. Yeah. And that's a big thing that I learned dealing with customers that have, maybe they have their business plan and they have different things that they want to accomplish that are unrealistic. If they want things done right, they have to wait for it to be done correctly, you know?
But now let's kind of transition into you took the jobs. There it is. You got the stress. Whatever it is, you're just dealing with crazy stuff going on at business. And I think you handle things a lot differently than me. I think you, I don't know, maybe you talk it through with your customers, talk about it with your team, maybe on this podcast. For me, like if something already, went wrong, and whatever, it's done, it's over with. I got to deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm burned out. I'm maxed out. I have different ways of going about it. And maybe
how do you go about it?
You can compare it differently. Yeah, maybe you got it different ways. Maybe we'll compare yours next. I try to tune out. As hard as it is being a business owner, because your phone is literally blowing up 24/7, even when you're sleeping. I try to tune out. I try to at least turn my phone off. I was horrible at this when I first started the company, because I thought that nothing could wait. But now I realize, there are business hours. There's such thing as you're only open from 8 to 9 or 8 to, that's horrible. 8 to like 5, 8 to 6, maybe 8 to 7. So you have a few hours left that you're not like fully responsible for responding to these calls, to these emails. Like, granted, yes, you might lose some business. So maybe you got to find other ways, maybe getting some, assistance or something, like virtual assistants to help with those other phone calls while you're not there. Though I learned that at the end of the day, you have to find that time for yourself. And for me to find that time, it's usually in a form of getting away and kind of just recharging, whether it's an hour a day, whether it's a longer, like extended session of like 3 to 4 hours during the week at some point, maybe during the weekend when business is a little slower or something, for example. I do numerous things, and kind of just some things I do. I cook, I run, I hike, and recently I've been going to like these spa, sauna type things. And anywhere that I find that I could sort of lose service, as bad as it sounds, but legit, I try to lose service. I go hiking and I lose service for like an hour or two, and it's such a relief. Like I know that things are going to go on, the business will be there, and things will still be there. But to get that little break for those couple hours, that disconnect, it lets me recharge, recuperate. I try not to even think about it at all, but things come to you, ideas come to you, breakthroughs come to you. And these are the different things that I do, like hiking, running, going to a spa. So by that I mean like like jacuzzi, sauna type things.
Sure.
It's just it gives me that moment to get away from the day-to-day 24/7 hustle and bustle, as we experience here in the business world, and especially in being in Chicago, both of us, the huge city that it is. It's nonstop over here. It's nonstop. Even though you live in the burbs now, and you're you're a suburbanite or whatever you guys get called. We're still in Chicago, and it is crazy around here, and business does not stop. Nothing stops.
Yeah.
And those are kind of my ways. I try to find ways that I could just tune out, and then whatever it is, because I do get overworked, I do get burned out. These things really help. I come out, whether it's just an hour, just that hour a day of tuning out makes me feel kind of alive again, and then recharged, ready to go fully back into it.
Right.
Are there certain things you do like outside, or I feel like you're going at it 24/7. So I don't know how you do it. Do you take a break?
So yes, I take micro breaks throughout the day, every day. I take micro breaks, and then maybe I'll have one day that I'm just like, it's over today.
Yep.
But what I do is I make sure that I put my clients, like, it's all emails. For the most part, it's all emails. Mm-hmm. If it's calls, they're scheduled. If they're not scheduled, I just don't pick up the phone. And then I call them back when I'm ready. because if somebody wants to talk to me and I'm not ready, then they're not talking to me about anything that's going to matter. You know what I mean? So, that's the way that it goes. But, the thing about my business is my server does a lot for me because it's pre-programmed, So like a lot of the things give me alerts. If there's something bad happening, if something's broken, I know about it immediately and my team knows about it immediately. So, we get it taken care of and, sometimes I get alerted, sometimes I don't. I see it all. But if it doesn't get handled within a certain period of time, then I have to, whatever I'm doing, I have to figure it out. So I'm always on call, So I always have this thing in front of me. And
honestly, you should try putting it away once in a while, just for a little bit.
I know.
It does wonders. I was so against it pretty much until like a few weeks ago, a month ago. And since then, I became so much more productive again.
It gives me more stress.
I lost feel.
Yeah, it gives me more stress because I don't have a direct connection to what's going on. So there's different types of people, different types of service, different types of businesses.
Yeah.
For me, if I know that this isn't going off, then I can relax. So the problem is that when you're dealing with clients throughout the week.
When you said this is going off, for the people listening on the podcast, he meant his phone, by the way.
Yes.
So when his phone, so the way Steve deals with it is he prefers to see his phone be empty of all tasks, right, and all calls, and that way you can relax. For me, me, I prefer to actually flip it over and put it away for that hour. Let's say it is, for example.
Sure. And, I like that too, but it needs to be something that I kind of have already set up like a contingency plan for, say I, if I'm going to take a vacation and I'm going to be away for a week, I put the tasks that I would normally handle onto somebody else and transfer things over to them. So it would just get diverted and I wouldn't even see it. And if something bad happens, then it would come to me and it would be like another jump. But that's how the computers work, thankfully. So things are kind of organized better. But for me, I don't mind. I don't mind having my phone. If I'm on vacation or if I'm relaxing or whatever, maybe I won't return calls. Maybe I'll send an email real quick and I'll say I'll get back to you on Monday. Talk then. But I'm not going to just turn my phone off because I'm a digital business and I can't do that. And if I did that, then, I might have some unhappy customers. So that's not, it's just the nature of the beast. But that isn't the stressful thing for me. I think the stressful thing for me is not knowing when things are going wrong. So if I didn't have the phone, then I would be lost.
Well, I think there's other ways of dealing with that as well. Eventually, if it's part of your plans and when you get bigger, if you have someone in more kind of, alleviating some of your role and someone does oversight of, the ongoing matters, more on a more consistent basis, maybe that would give you that freedom to, maybe shut off for a little bit and then focus on something else, maybe bigger picture, for example.
Absolutely.
I guess.
Yeah.
That's the perspective I'm looking at it from. And that's how I try to look at it. I'm trying to, as everything I'm doing here, I'm trying to make it very, and standardized and I'm trying to train the people so they can kind of do what I'm doing. So when these mistakes or things happen, emergencies, even if I don't answer for that hour, because, once you can't, I personally, I guess for me, I'm just different. I feel like you can't be at it 24/7 or you're just going to go crazy eventually.
Sure.
That's my perspective. That's it. And that's what I'm working on. I want to get things to the point where I could once in a while, because that helps me focus on the bigger picture. And I think being the business owner, you want to eventually grow, and focusing on the 24/7 stuff, I feel like, it's a yes and no. It's a give and take, I guess, depending on where you're at and what your goals are.
It takes 5 seconds to reply to an email and tell somebody that you're going to talk to them on Monday.
Got it.
And the thing about it is my clients, when I talk to my clients, whether it's, somebody else gets the customer, or I get the customer, or the customer comes to me. I always talk to every one of my customers. And I tell them, if you ever have anything that you want to talk about or you have a question, you can contact me directly. And I always have my phone. And the thing about what I do is I always reply. I don't have downtime. If I have downtime, it's short. Maybe it's a day, maybe it's a few hours, but I will get back to you personally, myself. And I don't mind taking that little bit of time to reply. And even if it's just, I got your message, I will reply to you on Monday, or I will get back to you on Friday, or whatever it is. Yeah. So that's how it works with me, at least.
No, I know. And we're definitely showing two sides of the spectrum here, because some people are comfortable with that role and they're totally fine with it. And, the business is your life, it is my life here. And people just go about it different ways, and different ways work for them. Someone this might be hitting total heart with, whatever you're saying and whatever I'm saying, to totally somebody else. So this is good because everybody handles things differently. And
sure.
we just want to let you all know that there are many different ways to go about it. We all get overworked. We all get overwhelmed. We all, get too much on our plates at once, and we just handle it differently. For Steve, he likes to get the tasks, out of the way, delegated and handled right away. I prefer, to, I guess, take them on my time. Obviously, if they're emergencies, I will get it. Someone will contact me, and I'll get the call. I'll get it. If it's bad enough, they will always get a hold of me. They know a way. There's always a way to get a hold of me. It's not like I just tune out from the world. I'm just sort of, for me, the way I operate, sometimes I need that little bit of time or something to myself. And, I like to.
That's important.
Yeah.
It's really important to take that time for yourself, And when I say, like, I have my phone, so I reply, whatever, maybe I take a whole day. Maybe I take a Saturday or I take a Sunday, and I don't reply to anybody until, 5 o'clock that night, or 8 o'clock or something like that, whatever. It doesn't take that long to get that block of things out of the way so you can actually be stress-free. Because the worst thing that happens is, you're sitting there and you're like feeling guilty because your phone's turned off. And but what type of vacation is that? And you made a good point that down the road, as the organization gets bigger, you can have somebody to do that for you. Unfortunately, at this point, first year and fourth year, we don't have that luxury.
We don't, but
no.
If we keep pushing, we keep hustling and bustling, we'll get there.
And absolutely.
I read a great book, amazing book. I highly recommend it. It's called Built to Sell. And it has, nothing to do. I wouldn't ever want to sell or anything like that. It's just a great way to go about running your business, that if you are not present, if something happens in case of an emergency, your business can go on, for that day, for that week. It can't go on without you.
Right.
And you want to get it to that point eventually. And it's a book I highly recommend. It's called Built to Sell. And it's all about that pretty much, and that's something I'm really striving to do, because I can't always be there. We are one. You are one. I am one. And, being a business owner, if that's where you're at right now as the listener, it's totally understandable that you can't do it all. And that way, that's what the business is for. A business is a separate entity. Usually, unless you're like a sole proprietor, it is a separate entity for a reason. It's right there, it's going to be there. I think one day you want it there, and you want it there running. Even though it is your baby, you still, it is still a separate thing.
Right.
And I just think I think these are some great tips for the listeners regarding the stress, stress that comes along, and being overworked, overwhelmed, from two different perspectives here. Totally, two totally different people. Steve, totally different company. Me over here, Miro, totally different. And, you get two different sides of the spectrum. I think this is some great stuff. And, without further ado, just flow, man. Just spit it. Just spit it. So, how about Steve? Since I've never asked you this question, I figured this might be a prime time to ask you it. And maybe this has something to do with all the stress you experience during work. How do you drink your coffee?
How do I drink my coffee?
Yes, we all been dying to know.
Black. I don't stress about it.
Ha. Well, you know what they say. If you drink your coffee black, there's a decent chance you might be psychotic. And
could be.
And I drink my coffee black too, though I'm trying to calm down. And you know what? Hey, maybe that helps us. Maybe it doesn't help us. I'm actually curious now. We should do a study and go out there and find out. Do a lot of business owners drink their coffee black? Do entrepreneurs drink it black? That could be a great study. And if so, it could say a lot about people. Or
let me ask you a question. When's the last time you were so stressed you didn't know how to handle it? And then what happened when you did?
That I didn't know how to handle it? Oh, man. I mean, just recently, because we've experienced some crazy growth. I'm running into new situations day in, day out, and I almost lost it. Like the one day I kind of talked about on an episode, I had like a panic attack, and I had to pull over on a highway, and I guess what I did is I just sort of told myself it's okay to breathe and it's okay to make mistakes. And I had to keep telling myself that. And that's what got me through it. And that, this is only going to make me stronger. That this is nothing compared to what, Gandhi or what Martin Luther King or whoever was going through, that this is nothing. Like our little issues here are nothing compared to what these guys went through or whoever it was. And if they can get through it, if people can get through torture, prisoners of war, then, why can't we get through this little situation when something gets broken at a client, job site? Like this is nothing in the grand scheme of things, and it's only going to make us stronger and better. And I just had to talk to somebody about it, whether that was my business partner, my girlfriend, or a close friend. I had to get it out. I had to talk to someone about it. So what happened?
Well, so what did they say to you that calmed you down?
Honestly, it was more just getting it out.
Just saying it.
It was more just saying, yeah, and then as I was saying it, I was like, they clicked right away. It goes almost instant. I remember this conversation instantly. I'm like, wait, what the hell am I even stressing about here? Like, what is going on? Like, this is okay. Like, we'll figure it out. We'll get this done. We'll deal with it. Life is gonna go on. Like, we'll get over it. We'll get over it. It's not the worst that could have happened. And sometimes just saying it out loud, just like putting yourself back for a second, that's all you need. And you're just like, what the hell am I even doing here stressing about this? We'll get through it,
Yeah.
We'll
so you're saying that, as stressed as you were, maybe you just wrapped up in knots, and then, just kind of vocalizing it made it better. Speaking it out to people around you that maybe care about you and, kind of believe in you, and that kind of gives you strength, right?
Yep. Or people that went through it and know that, these aren't that big of issues, this to you, it might be because it's first time you're experiencing them, when you're going through rapid growth, it's all brand new to you, something you've never done before.
Yeah.
And, but those are the moments that at the end of the day, you look back and you're like, wow, those are the moments where I either like, I could have crumbled up there in a ball and, died, or here I am better and stronger than ever. And I feel that that's where both of us are at.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
so closing thoughts on this thing.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Yeah. You bring up really good points. As rough as things get when you're in it, when you're in the thick of it, and, things seem like they're just unattainable and insurmountable. The struggles are just so terrible, and you don't know how you're going to work it out.
Nope.
At the end of the day, next week is going to be worse. Or,
dude, come on, man. We're trying to help these people. We want them to run businesses.
Hey, if we're going to help them, be realistic with it. Yeah. Next week, it might be worse, it might be better, but when you look back to next week, you're going to be like, it's not so bad. What was I crying about? What was I crying about? It's not that big of a deal. I mean, as long as you're breathing, as long as you're on the right side of the dirt, and you're still in business, and you're still doing, your best work, and you're putting it out there, and you're doing what you set out to do, and you're doing your best, then chances are you're going to be in the right position. And hey, if you don't quite make it, just like John McClellan said, he said, they'll find my body facing the direction in which I was supposed to be. What was he saying?
I don't know, but that's an amazing quote, man.
Yeah,
you're killing it. You're killing it, man.
I'm
no more quotes from you going forward. All right.
All right. Fine.
That being said, everybody, episode 40 R&R rants and recaps, and like Steve just said, it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. It really wasn't that bad.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's not. So.
It's not.
Hope you are enjoying this show, and you're going to crush the rest of your week just like we are, all of us here together. Stay in tune. Leave us some good reviews if you want. Honestly, as critical as they need to be to let us know what we're doing wrong, what we could do better. Hit us up on iTunes, Facebook. Look for the Facebook group. That's Boss to Boss. Ask to be invited into it. Hit us up, message us anywhere. It's at Boss to Boss, pretty much everywhere. BossToBoss.com. And hope you crush the rest of your week, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Peace.
Drop it, Steve. Peace.